Hello, my name is William and welcome again along to our next video in the series of how to use VoiceOver with an Apple Mac computer. Just to let you know before I get started how I'm going to proceed from now on. So I'm using screen recording in QuickTime. QuickTime is an application built into every Mac, and I'm going to be using it so you can see the screen if you've got sight, and you'll see the voiceover cursor, I believe, on the screen, but you'll hear the output as well. Now, how good the visual effects are, I've no idea. I do apologise. But if you've got some sight, I'd hope you can see what we actually hear. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just talk you through the setup. So when you turn on a Mac, it makes a bong sound, chime. And from that point on, you wait about 30 seconds, you think what's going on, and it's just booting up the initial startup. And what it will do is it will say something like, well, I've forgotten how it works now, I do apologise, because it's been a while since my MacBook Air here was set up. I think it's something like, if you want to learn how to use VoiceOver, press V, or Command F5, so the key to left of the space bar plus F5, to turn on VoiceOver and go through setup yourself without doing the quick start tutorial, all right? But the quick start tutorial is a great way to get familiar with VoiceOver and the basics of a Mac, to be honest. So we're going to run through that now. So I can't show you setup, I'm afraid, of an actual Mac, but once you're familiar with how to set up how to use VoiceOver, you will be high flying and you'll be able to navigate the, choose your country, etc. when you set up, and type in your Apple ID and all that to get yourself started on your own, because you can have run the VoiceOver quick start tutorial initially to get you going. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to load the getting started tutorial. You can do this at any time, okay? There's no pressure. You don't think, oh, I've just run it once, what am I going to do? This is not available in Windows as far as I'm aware with any screen reader. Yes, you've got the configure JAWS, etc. and NVDA at startup, maybe, but you don't really get a sense of how to navigate the system that you're working with. And I think it's a really good way to get familiar with a Mac. So the voice it's reading is called Alex. He breathes as well, so when you hear, that's a natural breath that he's taking. It's not any gimmick that I've put into the video. So there are 22 panels. It's a lot to go through, okay? I'm just going to go through a few basic elements. I'm going to tell you a few of them as well, so you're not surprised. So when you're navigating a Mac, you'll hear it mention about text fields. So you're filling in a form like first name, last name, etc. The beauty of the Mac compared to Windows is that you're not automatically thrown into the edit box to type in information. In a forms mode, etc., you can just jump past it and only type into it when you need to. So when we come to that, you will see that actually it's a very slick way to navigate through elements on a screen and use them. So without further ado, I'm going to hold down the function key on the bottom left of my keyboard, Control, Option, Command, and F8, and then let them go.
The VoiceOver Quick Start. In this Quick Start, you'll learn VoiceOver basics, as well as important VoiceOver commands to help you navigate on your Mac and use apps. You can exit the Quick Start at any time and finish it later. To advance through the Quick Start panels now, use the arrow keys located to the right of the main keyboard keys. On a portable computer, they're located in the bottom right corner of the keyboard. The up arrow and down arrow keys are positioned one above the other, with the left arrow and right arrow keys on either side. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key. To exit at any time, press the Escape key. Panel 1 of 22.
Now the first beep you heard there was me pressing the wrong function key. I do apologise to get it started. So that's that. So there are ways of navigating, like I've said. We're going to talk about the Control and Option, holding down them keys to navigate, but the trackpad commander does come up if you've got a trackpad connected. Either the Bluetooth one, the Magic Trackpad, or built into a laptop Mac. So that will come later on, but we're not going through the whole tutorial. It's too lengthy and I think it's too much to take in. So I'm just going to take you through a few sections and just show you how interactive this can be. So I'm going to press the right arrow key on my Mac keyboard.
Practice what you learn. Many quick start panels include an area where you can use voiceover to practice the commands you just learned about on the panel. The quick start plays a sound to indicate when practice begins and ends. When voiceover starts and is ready for practice, you will hear the following sound. When voiceover stops, you will hear the following sound. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key. Panel 2 of 22.
When voiceover stops on this Mac, for me, for some reason, it cuts out what it's actually reading. But when you navigate the voiceover with the voiceover keys, all that text it's read is in a text box, so you can read it yourself. So I might have to do a bit of left and right arrowing to go back and forth to get it to auto read, but I don't know what's going on there. But hopefully this won't happen with your machine. But I'm going to right arrow now.
The voiceover modifier. You enter voiceover commands by pressing the voiceover modifier and one or more other keys. You can set the voiceover modifier to be the caps lock key or the control and option keys pressed at the same time. By default, you can use either as the voiceover modifier. You can change the voiceover modifier in voiceover utility. The caps lock key is the third key up from the bottom on the left edge of the keyboard. The option key is the second key to the left of the spacebar. The control key is immediately to the left of the option key. On a keyboard with numeric keypad, the option and control keys are also available as the second and third keys to the right of the spacebar. During this quick start, when you need to enter a voiceover command, you will hear something like, press the right arrow, which means press and hold the voiceover modifier, then press the right arrow key. For example, you press and hold the caps lock key, then press the right arrow key. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key. Panel 3 of 22.
Now, I haven't used a laptop with a number pad, sorry, a keyboard with a number pad before, but they are available. So I'm going to right arrow. I don't use a caps lock either, but you can do it. So you don't have to hold down Control and Option. You can hold down the caps lock key, hold it down, not press it and let go, and then press the keys that it needs to carry on. So I'm going to do Control Option right arrow when I navigate. So I'm going to right arrow now, and we'll start to navigate.
Keyboard help. VoiceOver provides keyboard help for learning about the keys on your keyboard. After you start
We'll go through that
help,
in the next section.
Just move around the screen. To move the VoiceOver cursor, press the VoiceOver modifier while pressing the up, down, left, or right arrow key. As the cursor moves, you hear a description of the item it moves to. On screen, the VoiceOver cursor appears as a rectangular outline around the item. Use VoiceOver now to navigate around the practice area below. When you're done, continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key. VoiceOver on VoiceOver Quick Start. Move around the screen window. Show all comments. Selected radio button as keyboard focus.
So now is our first time of actually navigating on a Mac. Now I've got the Alex voice as well as my VoiceOver voice. I could have a different voice if I wish, but I've chose Alex so you're familiar. So now I'm going to hold down Control and Option, and I'm going to press right arrow.
Hide all comments. Radio button.
And that's just moving sequentially across the screen, item to item, row to row. Okay, so you've got
show all comments. Selected radio,
which I got to with VO left arrow, and then the next radio button is
hide all comments. Radio button.
So if I want to do that one instead on this little practice area, I could VoiceOver spacebar.
Selected. Hide.
And the sound means, like on the iPhone, it's like a confirmation, click, click, that you've selected it. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving.
Announce alert messages settings. Unchecked checkbox. Speak selected text settings. Unchecked checkbox. Speak text under the mouse settings. Unchecked checkbox. Learn more, but set option button. Quit button.
And to activate any of those, you just press spacebar while holding down your VoiceOver modifier. So I'm now going to press the right arrow.
Adjust the voice.
Now it jumped there because, like I said, this is part of the problem that I've got, which I can't get it to work properly. It's not reading right. I'd have to go back and forth to read this, but you can adjust the voice settings on the fly. We'll come to that more when we talk about the VoiceOver utility. because you can adjust the voice on the fly like you do with other screen readers in Windows, or you can set them in different scenarios in the utility. So let's right arrow instead.
Select Control.
And it's done it again, so I'm going to press left arrow and right arrow.
Select Controls. Adjust the voice. Select Controls. You use the voiceover cursor to interact with checkboxes, radio buttons, pop-up menus, and other on-screen controls. To select a control, press VO spacebar. To show the items in a pop-up menu, press VO spacebar. To select an item in the menu, navigate to it, then press VO spacebar. Use VoiceOver now to navigate and select controls in the practice area below. When you're done, continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
So that's what I've just talked about, isn't it? When we were
VoiceOver.
going through the basic navigate, I've just pressed Control to shut the speech up, which you can do there. When VoiceOver Practice was ready for us, that ding ding, so it was ready. So again, like we said, if I VoiceOver right arrow.
Solid lines, column headings, unchecked, checked, column headings.
Okay, and I've checked that with VoiceOver spacebar, go VoiceOver right arrow or VoiceOver modifier key, whatever you're using. Control and Option or the caps lock on its own held down.
Row headings, for new documents use, rich text, plain text, selected, plain text, quit button, go back, continue.
So as you can see, I'm very fluid at navigating. It's very simple to navigate. A pop-up menu, for example, date of birth. Now think of it like a combo box, a drop down. So it might say day, pop-up button. And you'd voice over space and go voice over down arrow or down arrow on its own to say 12. And then voice over spacebar would say 12, pop-up button. So it would prove that you've highlighted the right day. So on the right arrow, if it jumps again, I'll sort this out.
Type in text.
Okay.
Type in text fields. You enter information in text fields. Most text fields have labels located above or beside them. Move the VoiceOver cursor to a label to learn about the text field and the type of information to enter in the field. When you type in a text field, you hear each letter as you type it. When you type in a secure text field, such as a password field, the characters are not spoken. Use VoiceOver now to read the labels for the text fields in the practice area below, and then move the cursor to the text fields to enter text. When you're done, continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
So you don't have to,
VoiceOver.
as I said, you don't have to interact with the text field by default. You can skip over it. It doesn't throw you into a forms mode. Now I know, like with JAWS now, and NVDA for Windows, just to keep people happy on the Windows front, I know the semi-auto forms mode, which means you can skip over it. But with the Mac, there's not even a forms mode to even worry about interacting with in the first place. So if we go VoiceOver modify keys, you can do up, down, left or right, whichever way you want to navigate. You don't have to go sequentially across the screen, right to left, left to right. So let me just navigate.
Go back button. Name, edit text. Type your name.
So type your name is to the left of the name field. Now if I go VoiceOver right.
Name, edit text.
Okay, so what's my name? Let's call myself Bob, okay? Now, by default, it will read each character, look.
B-O-B.
Okay, B-O-B. Now, you can change typing echo to words. Again, we'll go through this a bit later on. Don't panic, you can do all that as well on the fly. So if I up arrow.
Bob.
Now the boom means that the cursor's at the start of Bob. The boom means it's at the B for Bob at the start. So that's that. Now if I VoiceOver right arrow to the next element sequentially on the screen to the right of this field.
Type a sample password.
Okay.
Password, secure edit.
Now if I put Billy Bob, okay. Now, silly examples, but Billy Bob. But you're not going to hear anything, look. Not even if I up arrow. Now on some forms you can do show passwords, can't you? So when you're signing up for something, show password, and you think, okay, so that's Billy Bob in there. But obviously by default it goes click, 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 click. Now even on a Braille display, you can use Braille with the Mac, again it will only show stars, okay? So you're not disadvantaged there, or advantaged should I say, by seeing a password over a non-Braille user.
Quit button, go back, continue button. Interact with element.
Now this is the last section I'm going to show you as we talked about
Voiceover.
interacting.
Interact with elements. Some elements can contain. Interact with elements. Some elements can contain other elements, such as a toolbar that contains buttons. VoiceOver simplifies navigation by moving to these top-level elements, then letting you decide whether to explore the elements within. When you hear an element of interest, such as a table, you can stop and interact with it. When you do, the VoiceOver cursor stays within the element's boundaries until you stop interacting with it. To start interacting with an element, press VO Shift down arrow. Then to navigate within the element, use VO and the arrow keys. To stop interacting with it, press VO Shift up arrow. Use VoiceOver now to interact with the toolbar in the practice area below. When you're done, continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
Now this is the core
VoiceOver.
difference between Windows and Mac that I'm going to end on now. You can explore the rest of the Getting Started tutorial yourself. If people would like the whole Getting Started tutorial from start to finish without any waffle, let me know. It can be done, I just don't want to overwhelm you at this stage. The reason why it's cutting out the audio, I think, is because it's played that bong sound to say voiceover practice has ended, but I've not come across that issue before, so I have to make it read it myself a different way by fiddling around with the arrow keys to get it to do it. But I do apologise with that. It didn't used to do that before Big Sur, which is the new operating system that I have got. So the core difference, I'm going to end on this now. The core difference of navigating with Windows and Mac is this. Now, feel free to my wife and others to correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not forced to interact with any element you don't want to. And that's all it comes down to. So, if, for example, you're in a tree view, say in Windows Explorer, yes, you can shift tab to it and up and down arrow. But if you want to go past it to explore the rest of the window, you've got to tab through, that's fine. But you're not immediately interacting with it. You don't say to your screen reader, I want to look at this. It's your choice to be on the control, but to get past it, you've got to press another control. You know, you can't just ignore it, if you like, if you're focused on it. With the Mac, you can. So if I go VoiceOver right arrow.
Text, toolbar, quit button.
Okay, so let's go.
Text, some elements can contain other elements. When you end of text.
Okay, so all that text that was read by Alex very slowly is in here, look.
Use VoiceOver now to
and I'm just up and down arrowing, no VoiceOver keys to read the text area.
Shift.
But look, if I VoiceOver left arrow.
Text, panel 9 of text, toolbar.
Sorry, VoiceOver right arrow. Sorry, I got that wrong. There's two text boxes there. So, you might have heard that.
Toolbar.
But what does that mean? Toolbar what? What does that mean? If you want to look at that, you have to physically tell it, look, I want to look at this. You don't get thrown into it by default. So if I interact with the toolbar with VoiceOver keys, shift down arrow.
In toolbar.
We are now locked in the toolbar. We can't get out of it until we tell it. So we're not going to get lost anywhere else on the screen. So if I VoiceOver up, down, left, or right to navigate any direction I want.
New message button, new note button, new to do button, colors button, get mail button, new message button.
See, and we wrap around with the clip sound back to the new message button. But look, we're locked.
Mail, colors,
we can't move.
New message.
If I stop interacting.
Out of toolbar.
Now, what did you say, Will? Oh, yeah, VoiceOver left arrow, look.
Text, some elements can...
We're now back in the window of this panel. I'm going to escape.
Quick time.
And I've got out of that now, and I've got out the quick start. But that's the key advantage to me of a system like the Mac, that you can jump past an element like a table or a toolbar. So if you're looking, say, in your Pages document, if you want the formatter toolbar, you can get to it and you can interact with it when you're ready, not when the screen reader thinks you are. And that's the key advantage. So the quick start's very useful. Please carry on going through it at your own pace. Again, I can do it from start to finish without any waffle if people prefer, in another video after the whole series, if you prefer me to do that, to show you everything it can offer you, because it does go into a lot of detail. It does talk about the web, it does talk about navigation, it does talk about the rotor and terms that we'll talk about. If you want me to do it because you've heard my tutorial and you want to hear it in action with the quick start, I will do this if people want me to. Just let me know. Okay, my contact details will be at the end of the basic tutorials. But I just figured that for this little getting started time, I've took up quite a lot of your time on this video. There's a lot to take in, but I hope you found it useful. But there are loads more panels. It does get quite advanced. So again, I'm happy to help in any way I can. So I'll see you on the next video.